Hello, it's me, the Avatar Fanatic, and today we will be talking about why the Black Sun invasion failed. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload more content. Also, comment down below your thoughts on why the invasion failed. Now, it's on to the video. The Black Sun invasion was an invasion in most part coordinated by the gang. After the gang used Wan Shi Tong's library to gain information on when the Fire Nation would be weakened, the gang sought out to make a plan on when they would invade, on how they would invade, basically battle plans that Sokka would be mostly in charge of. The Fire Nation seemed prepared for this, however, and the gang and company failed in their invasion. But why is that? Hakoda's support forces of 5 ships didn't have many quote-unquote warriors on it. Hakoda said it himself. Many good warriors were also on the boats, however. Some swamp people, Haru, his father, the boulder, the hippo, some freedom fighters, some of Hakoda's men were also some of the people present on this invasion. Sokka had many battle plans to make inventions that the Mechanist had to make. All of it was supplied for Sokka in time, so there's no excuse for a lack of supplies here. I also don't think the warriors on the boat is why they failed. In the graphic in the Black Sun episode, it shows anywhere from 50 to 100 warriors participating in the invasion while Hakoda was delivering his speech. Many things were also happening at the right time for the gang. Iroh escaping from prison, Zuko turning on Ozai. There were many circumstances in the gang's favor here, but just as Sokka and Aang were aware of the date that the Firebenders would weaken, I think Azula and Ozai were as well. Thinking about it rationally, I think Ozai knew this day would come too, which is why I suspect the Fire Nation were so well prepared and fortified with their garrison to repel and attack. Azula also had knowledge of the invasion plan and surely told this to her father. It also seemed like she was the mastermind behind the defense strategy. Now, there are also 2 layers to the gang's invasion of the Fire Nation. Just as quoted by Hakoda, the naval stage and the land stage are the 2 stages of the invasion. And I think these are very important to separate. As Hakoda points out, the Great Gates of Azulon is the first major obstacle to go through. Going through the obstacle, however, sends the gang and Hakoda's troops into a bay almost. This bay also gives the Fire Nation the ability to alarm and inform Ozai about the attempted attack. Being surrounded from all sides, and on top of that, a huge mountain surrounding the Fire Nation capital, it is already a big hurdle to climb if they want to break the first defensive line, let alone the second, which isn't even the mountain around the city. It's the dock that they have to blockade and break the walls of the Fire Nation battlements before the entrance of the city. They need to secure the Plaza Tower and consolidate that control even before that invasion starts. The first task is insane as it is, and even though Hakoda is a great leader, it is still a hard thing to do. As I said before, there are only 50 to 100 people that look to be on these 5 ships. Another part of their failure was to not bring enough manpower to invade and get into the capital itself, and to be able to sustain that control. But lower manpower also improved their ability to avoid detection for a longer period of time. The gang are relying heavily on this eclipse, making the Fire Nation borderline and completely basically incapable. On top of that, their army incompetent. Again, another hill to climb when that's the Fire Nation's main objective, basically to have a great army. This would be the only way to pull off such invasion. But as Hakoda said, the eclipse is only 8 minutes long. Not a day, not a week. Cities like the Fire Nation capital, especially with how fortified it is, could take months or even years to break down realistically. But despite that, only insanity beats ambition, and the gang went on with the plan anyway for this very reason. It seemed like one of their only chances at a clear and decisive edge on Ozai. It is not detailed if the other nations have attempted this invasion before on the Fire Nation capital, or even other lands of the Fire Nation at the time of the war, but it is known that if there were any, they were incompetent with a lot more resources to do so. The Fire Nation in 100 years consolidated gains, took out a whole nation, rained terror with little outburst. The invasion still seemed more significant than others that may have happened before it. Hakoda was firing up the troops, getting their supplies and their mental states ready. The invasion commences. The Fire Nation alarms sound, and a firewall is put up at the Great Gates of Azulon. Fire Nation soldiers start boarding the ships. But the gang and troops, thanks to Sokka's inventions, outsmart them and use submarines with water bending to evade Azula's gate completely, with Iroh's escape coinciding. The chaos is good for the gang. Torpedoes are used at the first battlement location, but throughout this, the gang and company are under fire. They use these other inventions, which climb stuff, to evade fire and advance. Fire tanks attempt to combat these tracked metal tanks that destroy these fire tanks with ease. The invasion has commenced well, as they hijack Fire Nation animals on the road to the palace, but the sheer amount of battlements starts becoming a lot of trouble for the gang and company. They do have some success taking them out though, but at a cost. Hakoda is wounded. Sokka, as a result, becomes the de facto leader of the invasion force. The gang and company put up a very valiant fight, piercing the palace walls in wedge formation at Sokka's command. The first half of the invasion is complete, and Hakoda and Sokka's forces have succeeded. Some are wounded, but it has been an overall success. Aang goes into the royal palace. The Fire Lord isn't home, however, and the gang attempt to find him. Toph's vision helps the gang out, and she burrows them down into these tunnel systems. Toph, Aang, and Sokka reach this metal bunker. They face an unexpected opponent, Azula, who has had knowledge of the invasion for months. Zuko faces his father instead. While the gang faces Azula, the Dai Li has her back. The water soldiers and Earthmen secure the palace from land. The land invasion overall has been a resounding success. Zuko expresses his grievances to his father, saying how terrible he is, and what terror he and his nation have created. While Azula is powerless, she is not without ability and wittiness. She weaves and dodges part of the gang. Zuko expresses his desire to join the Avatar and beg for his uncle's forgiveness. Ozai shoots an insane burst of lightning at his son, but Zuko ends up deflecting his father's lightning and their confrontation ends on Zuko's terms. Azula's distraction ends with the gang. With the 8-minute timer of the eclipse ending, the Avatar failed to reach the Fire Lord. The invasion initially is a success, but a major counteroffensive. The real defense, launched by the Fire Nation post-eclipse, pushes back on the gang and company. Aang, Appa, and Katara attempt to slow them down, but all are captured except the gang and some of the kids who get on board and escape with Appa. Counteroffensive of the Fire Nation works. The submarines are destroyed. There's no way to escape. It was a trap to draw the gang in. The Fire Nation all this time wanted the gang and company to penetrate the defensive lines, to let them in the city and trap them in a cage they can't get out of. Hakoda and company were now imprisoned, and while there was a taste of victory, there was a huge aftertaste of defeat. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when I upload more content. Comment down below your thoughts on the invasion and if the gang could have succeeded. And it's been me, the Avatar Fanatic out.